Hey there, my name's Chris Winter, and in this video I'm going to do a quick comparison between the brand new Canon 77D and the slightly older Canon 70D, so hopefully I can help you choose which one might be right for you. By the way guys, in case you didn't know, I'm actually giving away a Canon 77D or a Nikon D5600 to one lucky subscriber, so if you want to enter, all you need to do is hit that subscribe button. And guys, definitely make sure to check out my brand new list. The best cameras for under $1,000. Now, both of these cameras make it, but they don't come in at number one. So if you want to check it out, I'll put a link in the description box below under this video and you can take a look. But anyway, let's compare these two Canon DSLRs. So let's start out this comparison by first taking a look at the build quality of both the Canon 77D and the Canon 70D. Now, the Canon 70D came out a few years ago, but I've always appreciated how good it feels in the hand. This is actually my daily shooter and I've used it constantly for nearly 3 years now. It always feels solid and I've never had a problem with it. But in saying that, it is a little bit heavy. I generally use the 70D for filming these days in my studio, so I'm not lugging it around as much as I used to. On the other hand, we have the Canon 77D, which feels considerably smaller and lighter. Now the 77D is definitely not a small DSLR compared to cameras such as the Canon SL1, but it does feel like it would be a little bit easier to carry around on day-to-day traveling. So if you're looking for a camera that's going to be lighter, a little bit smaller, the Canon 77D will definitely be the better choice for you. So one difference between the Canon 77D and the Canon 70D is their burst rate. But it's not a huge difference, and in theory, you might not even notice it. The Canon 70D is a pretty quick shooter at 6.7 frames per second. In my use over the last few years, that 6.7 frames per second has been more than enough on most occasions. The 77D shoots at 6 frames per second. Is it a huge difference? Nah, not really. If you shoot a lot of action, say sports and wildlife, the 70D will be better for you. But if you generally don't spray a lot of shots in succession, the 77D should be more than enough, and you probably won't notice a big difference between that 6.7 and 6 frames shooting speed. Now speaking about action, another difference that the Canon 70D has to the 77D is its shutter speed. The Canon 70D tops out at 1/8,000th of a second compared to 1/4,000th of a second on the Canon 77D. Now if you like to shoot wide open on sunny days, that might be a pretty useful feature to have on the Canon 70D. Now let's quickly talk about battery life. Now the Canon 70D uses the tried and tested LPE6 batteries. These are awesome and I've bought heaps of them, but to be totally honest, I don't use them all that much because the battery life with these LPE6 batteries is really great. Although I have actually been impressed with the Canon 77D's battery life as well, and it's probably nothing you have to worry about, but in general, I have found the battery life better on the Canon 70D. Now being a newer camera, the Canon 77D comes with 24.2 megapixels, whereas the Canon 70D only has 20.2. Now these days, megapixels aren't as important as they used to be, but if you do like to crop your images and keep them sharp, the 77D will be better at that. Now one new addition to the Canon 77D is its inclusion of Bluetooth connectivity. Both the 70D and 77D have Wi-Fi built in to transfer photos, and overall it works great. So much so that I haven't even really needed to use the Bluetooth on the 77D. So to me, it's not really a benefit. You know, I guess it's nice to have it as a backup, but I've found that the Wi-Fi works really well, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Now one nice feature on the Canon 77D that's new is its inbuilt stabilization. Essentially this helps you get a steadier shot even when shooting without a lens with IS. Now there are a few things that you need to know with the image stabilization on the Canon 77D. Firstly, it is digital image stabilization compared to a physical one that you'd find on cameras like the Panasonic GH5. This also means that it does crop your video a little bit. How does it work though? Well, it works pretty well and it's a nice little feature to have on the 77D. So if you do shoot a lot of video and you want to get some nice steady footage, that's actually a pretty big feature on the Canon 77D that puts it ahead of the Canon 70D. So let's quickly talk about the viewfinders on the back of these DSLRs. Now the Canon 70D has a pentaprism viewfinder compared to a pentamirror viewfinder on the Canon 77D. For most people, you won't notice this much of a difference, especially if this is your first DSLR, but essentially it just means that you're going to have a little bit more viewfinder coverage on the 70D. Now being a pretty new DSLR, the Canon 77D was upgraded with a pretty nice new feature, and that's 45 autofocus points. You know, that's pretty impressive for a sub $1,000 camera, and really looks impressive compared to the 19 autofocus points that you're getting on the 70D. Now the big thing is that they're all cross-type autofocus points as well, which is quite a big deal. So if you are looking for a fast autofocusing camera, The 70D is pretty good, but the 77D will be even better. So overall, both of these cameras are fantastic. As you can probably tell, I have a sweet spot in my heart for the Canon 70D. It's been my daily shooter for nearly 3 years now, and it is a brilliant camera. I highly recommend it. But if I was to choose between either of these two cameras, I'd probably go for the 77D these days. They're very similar cameras, with the 77D being a little bit smaller, and that appeals to me, especially for travel. On the other hand, if you do like that extra size, especially if you're using larger lenses, and you also like that extra battery life, go for the Canon 70D. So that was just a quick comparison between these two cameras. I think you'll be happy with either one. Now, if you haven't done it yet, definitely make sure to subscribe to go into the draw to win a Canon 77D or a Nikon D5600. And also definitely make sure to check out my top list of the best cameras for under $1,000. That link is in the description box below under this video. You can take a look. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.